Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, we're joined by Michelle Anhang, who's from Michelle Anhang Coaching. And we're going to have a little chat about business, get to know each other. We've met online, LinkedIn, I think, or Facebook. Facebook, I think.
Facebook.
Yes, and we'll get to know each other a little bit more, see if there's any way we can help each other. But how are you doing today, Michelle? You okay?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing great too. So yes, it's nice to meet you, and nice to put a face and a voice to the messaging.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Michelle Anhang Coaching and what it is that you do there, etc.
Sure. So I am a certified professional coach, and I specialize in working with individuals and families who are living with mental health challenges, as well as those who are moving forward after loss.
Okay. So you help them with their mentality, building up their mental resilience and toughness and that sort of thing?
You bet. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something which I've been trying to do with people from afar with my
Mm-hmm.
podcast. So my podcast started out as a positivity motivational podcast because I wanted to help people get through the lockdown period. So I do
Mm-hmm.
morning motivation and a few different things, a bit of personal development and that sort of thing. But I also decided to combine it with, the motivation I give businesses in the form of, sales and marketing tips and advice and motivation and networking and all of that, which is all about relationship building and all of that, which is a big part of mental health and well-being, because us human beings are communicative people, and we care about
Yes.
the relationships and other people, and the more we care about them and help them and get involved in them, the more we can build mental resilience and mental well-being, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. We are, as humans, are definitely wired for connection. We need one another. And many of the people that I work with, where I mentioned talking about working with families with people with mental health issues, often the connection almost gets kind of overlapping, and and sometimes it's also about detaching. So that's a lot of the work that I do as well with family members, particularly when there is severe mental illness that a family member might have, or an addiction issue. So often the family, as I kind of describe it, that when the family member, the one who has the illness, is going through episodes, they're on a bit of a roller coaster ride. And the entire family jumps on that roller coaster with them. And it's like, yeah, we're here, we're on it. And they're taking that ride with them. And it ends up impacting everybody. And so the work that I do with the families is saying, you don't have to be on that roller coaster. Your role is to stand at the bottom, waving and saying, hey, I'm here. I love you when you're ready to, when you're off that roller coaster, or however I can support you, but I'm here taking care of me so that I can be there fully for you. So there's that level of what I call lovingly detaching.
Yeah.
So that we don't get too enmeshed in the family member's illness, because it seems sometimes, mental illness can almost be catchy in a sense of, when we all go on those rides. And with individuals, the work that I'm doing is a lot about creating connection and creating connection with the right people. Because often people who have challenges, they're reaching out, but sometimes they're reaching out to people who might not be able to be there for them. Maybe they have, issues about stigma with mental health. Maybe they're not able to deal with their own emotions around things. So learning who are the people in your life that can actually really support you, that will make you feel better, rather than calling, the person who doesn't, I know some older generations don't really believe in mental illness. They're like, no, just get over it. You can be happy, or whatever it is. Don't call those people. And so it's recognizing, you can talk to those people about other things, but if you need support for your mental health issue and you talk to them, you might end up feeling worse. So, part of it is doing the inventory of who is in your life that can support you, and finding people that, or creating community of people who can be of support.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously that's it's a tough time at the moment, obviously because of the lockdown, etc. Because those support communities, if you like, are difficult to reach or impossible to reach or whatever. And sometimes people with mental health issues haven't got the patience to do online
Yeah,
stuff or to learn new things or whatever. So sometimes you've got to sort of, because like a lot of people have pivoted during the lockdown and found other ways of supporting each other or stay connected or stay in touch or
yeah.
build on relationships, but not everyone is able to do that or not so quick to do it. And so they need a bit more hand holding to take them through
Yeah.
that process.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think that there have been a lot of mental health challenges that have arisen during this time as well, with people that may not have had mental illness or mental health challenges before, that they identified, that suddenly are finding themselves, depending where in the world we are, if we're quarantined and isolated, feeling alone, feeling depressed, or the levels of anxiety have risen because there's still so much unknown of what the future holds. So yeah, and these people who didn't have the resources already don't even know where to start. Some of them can't even identify what's happening with them. So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of added challenges right now.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, well, I've actually come up with a formula which I put together during the lockdown, which is to help people with their happiness, really.
Hmm.
So, obviously, a big part of that for me has always been, keeping fit, keeping healthy, getting out in the sun, finding some space, feeling one with
Yeah,
nature, doing a bit of mindfulness, all that sort of stuff. And
yeah,
so, I was doing a routine at the beginning of lockdown, which included like everything in my formula now. And I've always been pretty happy, pretty consistent because I've often gone to nature or food or, some nutrition, or I've gone to
yeah,
think natural things in order to get myself up if I'm down. Whereas
yeah.
most people go to medication. I've never done that. I've never done it in my
Hmm.
life and I never will, because I believe the power of the mind is much better for healing than any tablets ever will be. And so I've always just tried to get over whatever downtime by natural remedies, like going out and sitting in the sunshine for a bit, or
Hmm.
go for a walk, or having something nice to eat, or whatever. You'll go to see some friends and do a bit of socializing. There's ways of picking yourself up without having to
Hmm.
get tablets and etc. But a lot of people go to the easiest option, which is I'll just, I'll just go and subscribe to some tablet. I'll go to the doctor, tell him I'm down, and get some pick me ups or whatever,
Hmm.
And that's never, to me, is never the right way of doing it. If you can go to
Yeah.
nature first, and nature's store cupboard or nature's solution box, then that's a better way. But I was going through a ritual of doing a routine at the beginning of lockdown, which was making me the happiest I think I've ever been. I've had a
Hmm.
lockdown, really happy one. And so I decided to come up with a formula which I call SMART, as a SMART happiness formula. And I want to teach it to people who struggle with their happiness, struggle with their depression, struggle with their mental health, struggle with all of those things, because it's quite a simple, easy formula to follow. It's just a routine. And I think
Hmm.
if people can get it into their life, I know they'll be happier than what they are currently,
Hmm. Sounds great.
Yeah, so and that's what I'm all about. I helped a friend of mine get over a mental addiction, um, to drugs, illegal drugs, and then prescription drugs, and now he's in business and he's off all of those things, and was on them for quite a long time. And you know, I give him motivation and goal setting and targets and all these sort of things. Obviously, he wanted to take that on board. Not everyone does, but managed to get him off everything in like a year or whatever, through coaching and motivating and that sort of thing, and just inspiring and thinking about the future rather than dwelling on the past and letting yourself get into your own head. So that's why I started my podcast, and I'm all about trying to get people to just focus on the good things they want to do in their life and forget about the rest,
Hmm. Sounds great.
Yeah, definitely. So what sort of people, what sort of mental health issues do you tend to deal with, or is it the broad spectrum, or what?
It's a broad spectrum, particularly with family members. It could be anywhere. Working with people who they themselves have mental health challenges. It's usually most commonly I see depression, anxiety, ADHD. Different ways of managing. But with respect to I usually ensure because as a coach we're not trained to diagnose or treat the illnesses. We can help them when they're moving forward, so I'm very careful to make sure that they are under proper medical guidance.
Yeah.
I think there is value at times in medication. I think some people need it. I know from my own experience, I'm not currently on medication. I have lived with depression and anxiety, and like yourself, I have changed my daily habits to ensure my mental health is much better. But there was a period of time where I needed the medication as well, where just to give me that kickstart.
Yeah.
Being self-employed, it was taking a little too long doing the nature walks and all of that. So and it was like, okay. And in the meantime, I'm not making any money. So, for me, going on the medication for a few months was definitely helpful so that I felt motivated and could get back into, because when we are clinically depressed, we don't want to go for the walk. We know going outside is great, but we look out the window and the last thing we want to do is step outside our door. So there are times where I do believe medication is helpful.
Yeah.
And as well, there are a lot of different medical conditions that can look like mental illness, that manifest the same symptoms as depression or even anxiety, and they're physical. It could be a thyroid issue, it could be a vitamin deficiency, and we don't know. So, I feel that, supporting my clients best, I make sure that they are going to see their doctor, that they are getting all their blood work done to rule out anything else, because, I feel like it's, part of my responsibility is making sure their health is taken care of. And if I don't do that, and there's something underlying and we're just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it, it's not fully serving the client. So I do, and it's part of just building that community too. It's about saying, well, the doctor is trained to look out for these things. They do the blood work, they do the testing, let's work with them too, to make sure that, you're getting that full package for your health.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes it's it could be a vitamin deficiency and taking care of all the other areas like you were mentioning of, eating right, exercising, getting enough sleep, are all parts of it. So just making sure that we've got every base covered. And sometimes people don't even recognize what's going on with them. I have a client I've been working with for a year on things other than mental health issues. And during the pandemic, they were saying to me, like, I'm just so not motivated with work. And I said, well, what does your day look like? And they said, well, I get up at 7, I kind of grab my laptop and pull it over, and I do like an hour or so of work in bed. And then, I'll have breakfast and I sit down at my desk and I'm like, how much are you moving? And they were like, well, I'm not really. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to be moving. Like, and we worked out, and all, for me, it's a very individualized plan that works with each client differently, for saying like, okay, what works for you? What are the times of day where you're noticing your energy is lower? That's when we're going to pick things up. And we strategize on, with this particular client, we strategize on how to get them moving throughout the day. And within a couple of weeks, the next time I saw them, they were in a completely different space, because they didn't even realize that, well, I'm working from home. So yeah, of course I'm doing this, not realizing that the lack of movement was impacting their mental health.
Yeah, definitely. I put in my formula at least 30 minutes of exercise a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have 30 minutes of exercise a day, every day, then you're going to have release of endorphins, which you won't get if you're not, if you're just sat on the couch all day, you're going to miss out on that release of endorphins, and you'd also miss out on the fact that you feel good about yourself because you're trim and stuff. Because if you sat around doing not a lot, you lose energy and muscle, your flexibility in your muscles and all of that. So you feel lethargic and you don't feel so healthy and so fit, and that has a knock-on effect. So it all starts spiraling, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this it's great what you're doing, and I think it's the more people helping people with mental health, the better. I think there's going to be a massive effect. It's probably starting now. 6 months.
Oh, we're well into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say my business, has never been busier because of what's going on, and people that are living with somebody with, a severe mental illness, and now suddenly they're quarantined at home, and it's not like, okay, they can go to work and get away from it for a little bit. Suddenly it's like 24/7, and it's impacting them as well. And they might not have had any kind of diagnosis, but now they're being challenged. Yeah,
definitely. But I think the big wave is still to come because ultimately not a lot of the job losses have happened yet, or if they've happened to the youngsters who are resilient and weren't expecting, it wasn't their career, it was just a job. And so, it won't affect them as much because they're young and they've only just been in work. But once it starts, entrepreneurs losing their businesses and big businesses and people who are looking after the youngsters and the kids when they start losing their jobs, and you've got houses at risk of mortgages and all those sort of things.
Well, I'm in Canada, and it's already happening. Walking down the street, and how many small businesses and have closed down because they couldn't pay the rent. Has been a huge issue here. So we're seeing quite a bit of job loss.
Yeah. Well, I think
pay cuts.
Yeah, mostly in the UK it has been the youngers, I think. But I think we're at that tipping point now, where I think the next 6 months, year is going to be, not very good. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
And then obviously it'll probably become a rebuild then. But I think the whole industry, everyone needs to try and. I'm all about another part of my formula is random acts of kindness, and I think everyone should try their best to do something kind for other people at this moment in time. Especially old people who aren't getting out there, who maybe aren't on Zooms and are on their own at home, and those sort of things. Just pick up the phone and ring them, relatives, neighbours, whatever. I think it's all about that, and actually, just doing whatever you can to help. Whoever, is in your world, in your community, in your life, just help them in some way. It doesn't cost much to be kind and to do good, but it makes a big difference.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. And also it actually makes you feel good as well. So I've been doing non-stop random acts of kindness for 6 months as somebody who always helped people out anyway and always done good things. But I've just ramped up the level because I just think like I do quite a lot of free marketing for people because I think they haven't got the money to spend at the moment. Everyone's being squeezed, so I'll just market them because I spent a long time building up followers and stuff. So it don't cost nothing and it takes seconds just to press retweet or reshare or repost and get their content into your audience, so it's going and reaching more people. And that's the reason I started doing the entrepreneur chats as well, because I thought, well, I can showcase the entrepreneurs, networkers, coaches, different people who are all pivoting online. They can now showcase their new online products, their new online businesses and whatever to a wider audience and to my audience, and then that's helping them reach more people. So that's my mission as well. So tell people how they can get in touch with you and your products and services and all of that.
Sure. So you can find me through my website, which is michelleanhangcoaching.com. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram as Michelle Anhang Coaching. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm pretty much everywhere. So if you look up Michelle Anhang or Michelle Anhang Coaching, you will find me. And
Yeah.
I would be happy. I do offer free consultations, so we can see if we're a good match and how I might be, how I might be able to customize something for you. I do work as well quite a bit with mindfulness. I have a program that's mindfulness training for emotional resilience,
Yeah.
which is essentially mindfulness for mental health for those of us who can't sit for 10 or 20 minutes meditating. These are very quick and easy to use tools to help us bring ourselves into a better space mentally and physically.
Yeah. If you want to send that to me as well, I'll put it on my blog and I advertise it on my social media, etc. Because
Thank you.
just the more the merrier. I've been doing a bit of mindfulness, not regularly, but throughout my life. I like to go out and ride on a bike and not really think of anything and just let my brain sort of, experience nature and what's going on around it and not really think about much. And great ideas always come out at that time when you do that, because your brain settles and
very
not really
true.
thinking of anything, and then something pops out.
Yeah.
In fact, the idea for my title of my book happened when I was riding around right at the beginning of lockdown. I wrote a book at the beginning of lockdown as well. And that come from mindfulness. But I've also, since in lockdown, discovered meditation as well. I don't do it every day, but I do it most days. But I go out and I do mindfulness instead of meditation sometimes. But that's the M in my SMART formula is mindfulness or meditation. So so I really believe that people got to find a way of incorporating at least 20, 30 minutes of mindfulness or meditation every day as well in their routine. So that's in my formula as well. So it's random acts of kindness, exercise, nutrition, and hydration, which comes under the A, ability to perform, and then it's targets and sleep. So I know if people do all of those things every day, they'll be much happier than if they miss any of those things on a daily basis.
Very true.
They're all scientifically proven, really. They're all scientifically proven to make you happier,
Yes.
But you do them all together in a daily routine every day, and you get the compound effect of, the whole routine,
Mm-hmm.
So I come up with that formula, and I'm going to speak about it and talk about it and educate people on it for the rest of my life, I think. But I also got a success formula as well. That's the money maker. The success formula is the money maker, and the happiness formula is the helping people be happier formula. So yes, send us your information about mindfulness and all that. I think that's how to get people who can't concentrate and can't focus on meditation, but other strategies to get them to do mindfulness. Like to me, I would say try walking in the nature or in the woods, or try just going slow and not thinking about anything. Go out on the bike or go for a run or all of that.
This program talks about that, but it focuses more on quick and easy things you can do in the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather than setting time aside to go for a bike ride. It's okay, I'm noticing, I'm feeling whichever way. And it's also developing that mind-body connection, so we notice it a bit more quickly, because sometimes we'll feel it before we think it. So doing that and then just noticing in the moment and saying, okay, I can calm my nervous system right now in the moment. So that's what those tools are.
Yeah, that's great. So that would be good for me to share, but also maybe to share some of the highlights of, so that if anyone ever wants that coaching or that courses or online or wherever, when I talk to them about mindfulness and meditation and that sort of thing. I've got a friend who does coaching on meditation, but not on mindfulness. So now I got another friend that does coaching on mindfulness. So if anyone wants a deep dive into that area a little bit more, and it's always good to have people you can refer people to, or go and have a look at this or have a look at that. One of my friends is a spiritualist, a spiritual healer and stuff, and she does hypnosis and meditation and lots of other things. And she's got some fantastic videos which are just, can help people do meditation if they struggle, because she'll talk you through it and keep you calm and keep you concentrating on what you need to be concentrated on, rather than concentrating on loads of other things, which is why a lot of people can't meditate, because they're too busy thinking about other stuff. They've got too much stuff on their mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that or their nervous system is in survival mode, which many of us are. And So yeah, we talk about that as well. There is a psychoeducational component too that explains what's happening in our brains and our bodies when we're feeling anxious or stressed, so that we understand what's going on, rather than, oh, I'm just, thinking a lot, or my thoughts are racing, or I'm worrying a lot. It's understanding, okay, this is what's happening in your brain, in your nervous system, so that when they are doing the tools, it's an even deeper level of mindfulness, of having that awareness of, okay, this is what how I'm slowing my brain down, how I'm calming my nervous system, and recognizing too that when we're in that state of survival mode, and that's usually when our minds are on too many things, it's because it's trying to find safety, because somehow it thinks we might die at any moment. Yeah. And so it's about calming our nervous system and getting our brain out of that survival mode, because from a neuroscience perspective, when we're in that space, the part of our brain that's actually responsible for like logical thinking and reasoning and planning is actually offline. It can't function at the same time as our survival instinct. Yeah. So we need to get out of survival so that that part of our brain that actually can make the decisions starts working again. Yeah. And so having that knowledge and that awareness of, I'm not going to necessarily make the best choices when I'm in this space, but if I calm myself, then I can get back online and back into a better place. And then, already it's very empowering knowing how we're able to control our brain and the way it works.
Yeah. Brilliant. It makes perfect sense. And do you have a podcast yourself, or YouTube channel, or anything with some content on?
I do have a YouTube channel with some content. I have my Monday morning mental health moments, and it's also Michelle Anhang Coaching. Yeah. So yeah, you can find me there. I do not have my own podcast. I've been quite busy doing interviews, being guests on them, and I share a bunch of them on my YouTube channel as well. So you can learn more about me and the work that I do. I share my own personal story through my own mental health challenges, and so yeah, lots of information out there about me.
Good. And there's a contact of mine. Her name is Dawn Evans. That's DAWN Evans, and she runs the Mental Health and Wellbeing Show in Wales. It's Wales's biggest mental health and wellbeing show, and she's doing a lot of stuff online at the moment because obviously the event space is down. And so check that out, the Mental Health and Wellbeing Show. I think she's got a group on Facebook, and she's definitely got a page on LinkedIn and that sort of thing. She may well be looking for speakers for her event. Well, she's always looking for speakers, for the real world event, which would be a bit of a travel for you. But for the online event, they may well be, worthwhile you connecting with Dawn and seeing what she could offer you. She also runs a network called IWOW, which is Inspirational Women of the World. IWOW. A female network. It's a group on Facebook, IWOW group, and it's run by her and a friend of mine, Tracy, who runs a B2B business network called Intrabiz. That's where I'm going now at 4:00 for the first real world event of since the lockdown,
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend you connecting with Dawn and probably Tracy as well. Join the IWOW group and see if you can get into the mental health and well-being, because that might help you sell some of your coaching courses and stuff. Yeah. And which part of Canada did you say you were in? Much. Yeah, no problem.
I'm in Toronto.
Okay, yeah. All right, brilliant. I always stick a pin on I got a map of the world on my wall where I stick pins in where my guests have come from, and also where I'm connected to in a network point of view. So I've already got one in Toronto, but I'll stick another one in. Are you north, south, east, or west Toronto?
I guess you would call me West End.
West End.
The West End, yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, yeah, keep an eye out on my YouTube videos. If there's anyone on there you want to be connected with, either get in touch with me and I'll connect you, or just speak to them, because most of the people I connect with are open networkers anyway. So just say that, you've been on my show and you noticed they were on there, and open up the lines of communication. But if you want me to do any introductions, more than happy to do that, because I'm a big networker with a big network. So, and I see my podcast chat as the start of a relationship, not the end of one. So if you want to tag me in
Wonderful.
on social media or anything like that, I use Facebook a bit, but I use LinkedIn a lot more because I'm more B2B. You know, it's more, my market is
Right.
entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and the network I belong to, and I'm an ambassador with mostly B2B product and service providers. But, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm more newer to Facebook more recently because they got some great communities for getting guests on for your podcast. You know,
Yes.
and I've got quite a lot of groups on there myself, but I use them as fishing nets rather than fishing rods where I'm holding the rod and reeling the fish in, which is what LinkedIn is. I see Facebook
Yeah.
groups of fishing nets. I can pop them out into sea and go back at shore, go back a couple of days later and see what I caught. You know,
Right.
there's not much energy, not much activity, and you catch some great fish every now and then, like, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Definitely.
but obviously for podcasting as well,
Wonderful.
the community, I think where we connected is a great community of getting guests on and that sort of thing. So
Yes. Yes. I've met some amazing people through that.
yeah, I have as
So
well.
it's
I've had
been
some
great.
fantastic
Yes.
guests on, like, you know, and I do a lot of online events and some great guests have come from that as well. But I've got to shoot now because I got a bit of distance to travel. So thank you very much for
Yes.
coming on the podcast and have a great
Thank you.
day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No
It was
problem.
wonderful to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet
Okay.
you too.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, there's nothing else left to say other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye-bye.